Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Hello, listener and viewers out there. Good morning and welcome to a new edition of Inside Nigeria in this fresh week. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. With me in the studio this morning is an Abuja-based public affairs analyst and a journalist with the Blueprint newspaper, Mr. Taiye Odewale. Odewale, welcome to Leadership Podcast Studio.
Thank you very much.
And of course, listeners, as usual, we shall be discussing leading stories on some Nigerian dailies, starting with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, The Leadership. PDP crisis, battleground shifts to NAS as Red Caucus demands Secondus sack. PDP crisis, battleground shifts to National Assembly as Red Caucus demands Secondus sack. Odewale, it's like Secondus is in kind of a soup.
Yes, he is. He's embattled. And I think from the look of things, the game seems to be up for him. Secondus, going by the issue of leadership in PDP, I think he's lucky to be the first national chairman to have spent out his entire tenure. Remember from the late Solomon La, who was interim this thing, when he handed over to Barnabas Gimadi, didn't finish the 4 years.
Exactly.
And so on and so forth. Secondus came in 2016, and it's for 4 years. So it's supposed to have gone by last year. Yeah, because of COVID-19, the party shifted their congresses and convention to this year. And it belonged that World Congress, local government have been conducted. So I wonder why they stopped the process at that level, that state, zonal, and then up to national congress have not been conducted. But now those congresses and finally congress supposed to have been conducted, and the Secondus want to stay, supposed to have represented himself to the party support as unfaithful, whether they still need him or not. It's not good that he's overstaying, and then people are telling him to go. To me, his performance is winning. Also, when a governor from his own zone, South, Ben Ayadi, defected from the party to APC, not to talk of
Other
Governor
governors.
Umai from Southeast.
And
Although that
South-
of Matawale is understandable because of peculiarity of the politics in that area. So, since the national caucus in Rep are asking him to go, and if you recall, throughout last week, different blocks within the party are also making similar decisions. So we wait and see what will come out of all the.
But despite the fact that you say he has overstayed his welcome, I think he's still holding to some ground because one of the riders there is saying the Senate caucus distances itself from move. Is disassociating from the move to remove Secondus. While 11 governors for, 2 against current NWC meets today. A group within the APC, the PDP is now saying its continued stay will spell doom for the party in 2023. How true is that?
Well, if you go by what has happened to the party between 2019 and now, you know the number of states the party won in 2019 general election. Out of those states, 3 are off the track. Although the party also succeeded in winning Edo, but at the same time lost Kogi. So if you look at it very well, the party is losing ground as far as objective assessment is concerned. And when you're a leader, there's supposed to be self-assessment. And most of his tenure, the tenure of the NWC or National Executive
National Working Committee.
NWC, National Working Committee, or NEC, National Executive Committee that is heading, the tenure has lapsed. That's what I'm saying.
So it means the party is not even deepening internal democracy.
Yeah, that is it.
So a party which is not deepening internal democracy cannot preach democracy for the nation.
That is the problem we have. That has been the problem, because the same thing we see some people in the other party, the ruling party PC, they will say internal democracy. You know, they have crisis, but they seem to be managing their own better than PDP.
But then we have to keep our fingers crossed and see how this will play out, because 11 governors out of 13 are actually in his support, and senators are also in support of Uche Secondus.
Well, Yeah, the support, 24 hours in politics.
It's a long time.
It's a long time.
Yes.
So the level governors that are supposed to be may they get depleted to zero if secondus, if he doesn't play his card very well. That's just my own submission on second. But for me, he has overstayed. Not only him and
Members of the
other
National Working
National
Committee
Committee.
members.
They should conduct other congresses and conventions.
Usher in new
If
leadership
they want to stay, they will represent themselves to party district for the election.
through democratic means. Okay, Odewale, let's move to your newspaper, the Blueprint. And on the front page of the Blueprint this morning, okay, on the front page of the Blueprint this morning, all right, Odewale, it seems we are having some technical issues at the back end. The Blueprint, you work for the Blueprint, you know what is on the front page of the Blueprint. And it's about the Senate and state creation. And now we have the Blueprint on the screen. Senate on Constitution Review. No recommendation for state creation. No recommendation for state creation. Says reports on state creation on 20 proposed new state fake. Urges Nigerians to await INEC supervised referendum. At the same time, no, this is a different story altogether. The issue of embed, we come to that, Odewale. Now, Senate is saying they don't have power to propose new states.
They don't have power singularly.
Exactly, to do that.
Senate has power, but not singular power. So in creating state, if you look at section 8 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, is very, very cumbersome. Creation of state is one of the cumbersome things to carry out in the constitutional provision. As explained by the Senate spokesman yesterday, Senator Odewale in the report issued against a report by one of the national dailies that 20 states have been settled for by the Senate. Said no, if you to go by the constitutional provision that referendum has to be conducted in areas where states are being agitated for by people there. And the body to carry out that referendum is the Independent National Electoral Commission. It is after that one that both the Senate and the House of Reps will now vote on it, which requires their 2/3. Then they send it to all the state houses of assembly, which requires 24 out of 36 to get that one done. So the process is very cumbersome. So the senator is also a member of the Constitutional Review Committee. So he, as far as he is concerned, the committee has not recommended any of the states being agitated for in his own report that the state we are recommending. So that is the position of the Senate.
And of course, yesterday when the said national newspaper reported that the Senate committee has proposed 20 new states, people from those areas already started jubilating that very soon they will have a new state, even though the story is not correct, and the Senate is coming out to say no, that is not the process. That is a laid down procedure as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution as amended. Otherwise, the process, as you said, is cumbersome and even near impossible. Does that mean, and remember, no democratic rule or no democratic or civilian administration in Nigeria has ever created a state. All state creators have been through military fiat.
Yes.
Does that mean under a democratic dispensation we cannot have new political development like state creation?
Yes, as provided for in the 1999 Constitution, even in 1979 Constitution, very, very cumbersome for state to be created. But a civilian administration had created something you can call state before. If you remember what the Mid-West state created during the first Republic. That one was created under a civilian administration. But that was through the 1963 Constitution,
which is the Republican Constitution.
The process then was not as cumbersome as the one we have now. So with this cumbersome process, I doubt it whether there will be any civilian administration that will create state. One that's supposed to have escaped through was the recommendation made by the 2014 National Conference, recommending that the Southeast should be given one and challenge.
It's a bit of fairness and
Yes,
justice.
yes. I think that report was adopted by the present government, in particular the National Assembly.
So that would have been treated in isolation.
In isolation.
Not
But the coming
mass
coming
agitation we have now. More than 50 requests all over the place. All right, Odewale, let's look at the last rider of your report, which is the Senate faulting the MBET, the MBET 132 million naira expenditure on drivers' uniform overseas training. And of course, MBET is the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading Company. And I don't know how an agency of government will spend a whopping 132 million naira on drivers' uniform and overseas training without recourse to lay down procedures.
Actually, the amount spent on drivers' uniform is 2.5 million.
Why the rest?
Why the rest on the bulk of the rest on overseas training, which the Auditor General faulted, and even the Senate Committee on Public Account said the training didn't even take place because it was in 2014. They said there was presidential directive that time. As far back as February that year, that there should be no overseas training.
So the money were not retired.
The money were not retired. So they said, so there are no documentary evidence to show that actually staffers of that agency went for any overseas training, whereas 95 million was recorded to have been spent on that training. As for the uniform, not just conventional drivers, outsourced drivers.
That's serious.
That is a company, a contractor.
Sending you a driver.
One of the contractors working for the agency. The one the agency paid 2.5 billion to sew uniform for. So the officer of the General of the Federation and the Senate Committee on Public Account faulted that procedure. That is against extant regulation. It is the contractor that's supposed to sew uniform for his driver and not the agency. Sew uniform for those who are not his staff.
Odewale, despite the fact that corruption is one of the three-pronged mantra of this government anti-corruption fight, but it seems corruption has been very, very endemic. Even though the Senate Committee on Public Account is trying to expose these corrupt activities, but then we don't get to see a punishment. All we see is exposure, but we don't know who and who has actually sustained the country and justice being served.
Well, as far as the National Assembly is concerned, whether the Senate or the House of Representatives, the mandate given them by the Constitution, section 88 in particular, is to expose corruption. They can't go
beyond that. It's left for
after exposing corruption, it's left for the relevant agencies
who are part of the executive
to now follow up.
All right, so Odewale, we need to go on a short break, and when we come back, we will continue with our discussion this morning. We'll be right back.
Inside.
Welcome back to Inside Nigeria. I'm still in the studio with Taiye Odewale. Taiye Odewale is an Abuja-based public affairs analyst and a journalist with the Brooklyn newspaper. Now, Odewale will move to the next newspaper, which is the National Economy. National Economy is a sister publication of the Leadership newspaper. And of course, on the front page of the National Economy this morning, National Economy Board of Economics speak. Investment in mining sector, redenomination could save Naira from field fall. National Economy Board of Economics speak. Investment in mining sector, redenomination could save Naira from free fall. Odewale, Naira has been having a lot of challenges in the last few weeks, and the Central Bank of Nigeria has actually initiated a lot of policies or reform to make sure that the Naira is safe from free fall. But then this morning, I have somebody joining us who will be making sense of this report. Is one of the members of the National Economy Board of Economics, Dr. Emeka Okengu. Dr. Emeka Okengu, welcome to Inside Nigeria.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Good morning, Nigeria.
Well done, sir. It's our pleasure you're joining us this morning. Dr. Okengu, you are a member of the National Economic Board of Economics, and you are one of the authors of today's report on the front page of the National Economy. providing insight as to how the Naira can be saved from free fall. Can you make sense of the whole of this report for Nigerians?
Well, I think the important thing is to get one simple fact straight on, that what you need to be able to save the Naira is value. And what can give value to the Naira is productivity. And in that area of productivity, we are one country that is blessed with over 44, minerals that appear to be in very commercial quantities. You note the word appear. I'm not saying it with a lot of certainty, because for you to be able to do that determination, you must be able to do what they call depth probing. But let's not leave that technicalities out. And I'll give you one very simple, very, very simple analogy. It is a known fact that Nigeria is touted to have about 3 billion metric tons of iron ore and about 2 billion metric tons of coal, $1,000 in the markets. And you are able to sell 1 billion of that, your 3 billion, at a forced sale value of $400 per ton.
Dr. Okengu.
We at the Board of Economists we are trying to make. The only way you can be able to save the Naira is for Naira to have value. And the only way the Naira can have that value is for Naira to now begin to, productivity and promote productivity in Naira value. That will be my opening.
Dr. Okengu? It's like we are having challenges.
Thank you. Yes, I'm here.
Dr. Okengu.
Well, Dr. I can hear you.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes, I can hear you, please. Yeah, so like I said, if we're able, to look at the mineral resources we have, and we have almost everything, that we need in practically every area of infrastructure, and industrial development. Nigeria is started to have, millions and millions and millions of tons of all kinds of clays, but two of them being very, very, critical to our industrial. One is kaolin, the other one is bentonite. And you must recall and recollect that bentonite is one of the, critical ingredients you need in producing what they call drilling mud. Now, we also have a lot of barite, which is the second ingredient you use in producing drilling mud. And apart from its applications to the oil and gas sector in drilling, it's also applied in building, construction, even making of tires. So if we begin to go the way of, developing and promoting our mineral resources, then you can be sure that because it's going to be Naira denominated, it is going to be giving the Naira a lot of value and, of course, a lot of force.
Dr. Kongu, apart from this, your kind of recommendation, investment in the mining sector and the denomination of the Naira, will you say you are satisfied with existing measures or policy being embarked upon by the CBN every day to make sure that the Naira is safe?
Now, what is important for you to know is that the Naira is a currency. And what the CBN can do is what the CBN is doing. Try as much as it can within its limitations to be able.
Dr. Ikengu? All right, we are having challenges with connection with Dr. Okengu. We'll be back to him when the connection is restored. Odewale, you had Dr. Okengu is one of the people who actually put
bring out policies that can hedge,
All right, Odewale, what do you have to say? He has actually spoke about investment in the mining sector and redenomination of the Naira in order to save the currency from free fall. From our own view.
From my own view, investment in the mining sector, not only mining sector, the agricultural sector, the domination of the Naira, will help in remedying the situation of free fall of naira. But the bottom line, what I want us to understand is that as long as Nigeria remain a consuming nation, the naira will continue to be troubled as far as depreciation is concerned. What are we producing? We export crude oil. The dollar we get from the exportation of crude oil, we return it back in importing a refined product of the crude oil. So the naira will always be a problem if the country does not diversify in practical terms. Not just government coming and saying we have need diversification, we have need diversification, and then in practical terms there is no
nothing concrete
to
diversify the economy.
It being done to diversify the economy. Look at this mining that we are talking about. Mining is one of the 68 items
on the exclusive list.
What is the federal government
doing?
In fact, the systemic dysfunction is part of the problem we are having. Mining, if you read the constitution, it is the federal government that can actually mine. Why the state are a custodian of all those mineral resources? Why are they custodian of the mineral resources if they cannot do anything with the mineral resources?
Exactly.
So I don't know whether
the states where the resources are deposited are helpless.
Yes, I don't know whether this ongoing question review, whether mining
will
be removed from
exclusive
list
to the
concurrent list, so that both the federal government and the state will be able to do justice to that sector. But as it is, you can see we just have illegal miners all up and down, and that is one of the problems in Zamfara State and some other states like that. So mining, yes. If the country focuses on mining, agriculture, yes, we have other things to export than just a crude oil monoproduct economy that we are running. It will not help our currency, and it has not been helping the currency, and that's the reality we have at hand.
All right, thank you, Odewale. We need to go on another short break, and when we come back, we shall conclude our discussion for this morning. It's still Inside Nigeria. We'll be back shortly.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
All right, welcome back. We still have Dr. Emeka Okengu on the line. Dr. Okengu, I will want you to conclude your talk before I allow you to go on today's Inside Nigeria. So I would like you to conclude your talk.
Thank you very much. I got a little bit... Yes, thank you so much for still having me. Like I said, what is important is that if we focus on our mining sector, and again, there's actually a symbiotic relationship between the mining and agriculture is actually because the mining sector has been used to, like in the case of Jos, a lot of people do not know that the agriculture that is thriving in Jos today is thriving because the mining sector was able to now open up those water pods or water holes that you have there. Now, it was in the course of a mining for tin that they got to that aquifer level, and then that's why you see a lot of water ponds all over Jos now that they are now using, to do agriculture. So in a sequence and systematic way, there is this relationship between mining and agriculture. And also remember that the NIST document had actually identified these two areas, knowing that over 80% of Nigerians, live off on these two sectors. But like your guest in the studio says, you have a lot of them now doing it informally. They no longer use the word illegitimate. They now call them informal miners. For the moment, you have a proper framework, and this is not supposed to be driven by government. What government does is to bring the policies and then be able to now support and encourage, the private sector to now begin to now build the proper operational structures and frameworks that can be able to get the mining sector to run. One, it can create a lot of jobs, plenty, and millions of jobs. It's important I say this, that Ajokuta that is moribund, as it is, has the capacity as that factory is to take on 50,000 people on direct jobs, and another 500,000 maybe along a value process. And if you're going to be supporting Ajokuta with the raw materials it needs, it is going to be helping you create over 200 or 2,000 mines, depending on the levels or volumes of the mine. I'm just saying, if you have a mine producing 10,000 metric tons, you'll be able to create about 2,000 mines just to feed Ajokuta alone. Because 7 of the ingredients that Ajokuta need is all found around the country. So this is just not the mining to bring out the raw materials, but I'm also talking about mining to talk about the midstream, that to talk about the upstream, and then talk about the infrastructure that it can actually support. And remembering that mining is housing, mining is rails, mining is road, mining is your airport, mining is even your car. Okay, most of the components that you see in cars come from the mining or sub-mining sectors. So it is important that we not only just identify the mining at that level of the mines, but also identify it and tie it, to the midstream, and then, to the downstream levels. And then that way you can be very certain, that we can really, really earn a lot of money. Like I told you in my opening, just 1 million metric tons of coal that we sell at not even the proper market value is able to raise for our country, within just one investment range, over $400 billion in dollars. And compare that to what it is we have, as our foreign reserve, to be able to now understand how serious, this is. That will be my closing, and thank you for having me.
All right, many thanks to you, Dr. Emeka Okengu, a member of the National Economic Board of Economics. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, my brother.
He said it all, talking about mining, agriculture, which corroborated what you say about diversification of the economy. I hope the authorities will actually listen to this invaluable advice. Let's move to the last paper for the day, the Daily Sun. And on the front page of the Daily Sun this morning, Secondus knows fate tomorrow as PDP governors, elders meet to Pali Board of Trustee. Others also. Secondus knows fate tomorrow. Tomorrow, Tuesday, of course, he will know whether he will stay or he will leave the Wadata Plaza, national headquarters of the People's Democratic Party. I remember last week when the BOT met, a small committee was formed to go and look into these issues and report back to it. So, Secondus, to go or to leave?
that depends on what the PDP members and supporters what they want. Since the PDP leaders are meeting tomorrow, well, we wait and see what will be the outcome of that meeting. But as I earlier said, Secondus and other people in that NWC and they are overstaying their welcome. The party is supposed to strict to its constitution, 4-year tenure for executive. They came in 2016. It was supposed to have gone last year. Yeah, because of COVID-19, nothing was done. But they started the process early this year. All congresses were done, local government congresses were there, they have been executives, and they stopped. They didn't go further to state, zonal, and the national level, where Secondus would have been voted out if they don't want him, or if they want him, his mandate will have been renewed. We wait till tomorrow and see.
But Odewale, people keep talking about governors who defected from the PDP to APC. People under Secondus, they are not talking about states hitherto governed by the APC, won by the PDP under Secondus. Oyo State in 2019, Bauchi State in 2019, and of course Adamawa State in 2019 were won by the PDP under Uche Secondus.
Those states were won by the PDP under Uche Secondus, sorry to say, but not with any input from Secondus. we know what and what factors that led to those states being won by PDP. The late Ajimobi had problem with a lot of stakeholders, even within his party, the APC, were not happy with him. That was what resulted into Makinde's emergence.
So it was a protest vote.
Yes, protest vote. In Bauchi, the same thing.
Protest vote.
Adamawa vote. In Adamawa, you know the Atiku factor running for presidency. Okay. And Adamawa is a state. Automatically, that one will affect others. Even a senator, very vibrant senator, Binta Masigarba was consumed.
Lost election
because of that Atiku's presidency. Because his election and that of national assembly were conducted the same day. So it's not Secondus. Secondus had no input.
And Elisha Ebo, who defeated Mercy Garba, had returned to the APC.
In fact, yes, Secondus as national chairman, when Elisha defeated, no crisis in PDP in Adamawa State. Secondus as national chairman was supposed to have instituted the liberation against Elisha.
All right.
Nothing was done. Just sat down there and they felt that
thinking it's normal.
It's normal.
Now the chicken are coming home with 2 roofs. Many thanks to you, Taiye Odewale. Taiye Odewale is an Abuja-based public affairs analyst and a journalist with the Blueprint newspaper. And to you out there, viewers and listeners, thank you for joining us this morning. Keep it with us tomorrow for another edition of Inside Nigeria. My name remains Bode Gbadebo. Bye-bye for now.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.